For all my ladies out there that are dating to marry, dating with intention, dating to get a guy into a serious relationship where you can build with this man, shout out to all you guys. Shout out to all you guys. The world needs more of you. But some of you might be having difficulty with finding a guy. Some of you might not be able to find the guy that's serious in a relationship. I get so many DMs from women saying, oh, all these guys want to do is hook up and have sex and just have these situationships and not commit. Look, I get your pain. But today, I'm going to teach you a few things that you can do in the first initial interactions to save yourself some time and to avoid getting into a situationship, getting into a situation where you're investing your energy into a guy that doesn't want anything but sex. What is up, guys? Sumi here with ThoughtCast. So, ladies, you're talking to a guy and, 3 months goes by, 6 months goes by, a year goes by, and he still doesn't want a relationship. And now you're emotionally attached to him, you care about him, you love him, and it's hard to walk away. And you feel like you've put so much time into the relationship that you just don't want to let go, and you want to make things work. And you feel like if you give him love and you care about him, he's going to change and he's going to finally rationalize that, maybe he should date you. This is a bad situation to be in. Trust me, it's not fun, and you're thinking very emotionally. I'm going to pull you back for a second. This is the thing you need to understand. The way that you build a relationship and the way that you really start a relationship really determines how the relationship is going to go. There are all sorts of guys out there in the world, and I'll tell you this. They all know how to treat a woman like a gentleman. Truthfully, they do. Now, they have variations of this, but men know how to treat women very nicely and how to commit in a relationship, and they're going to commit to a woman that is very valuable. Look, some guys have serious 1% of 1% trauma. The majority of them will lock you down if they really find you valuable. And the thing is, many times before they try to lock you down, they will put these barriers up to see if you'll stay around for them if they don't date you. And, it's difficult. Sometimes you've got to understand that a guy is just not going to commit to you because he doesn't see the value. But many men will lie and say they want to be with you and want to kind of get in that relationship with you just for the access of the sexuality, the physicality, and really the emotional access as well. So you need to learn to identify early on in the relationship if a man wants to be with you. And so you want to do this in the first initial interactions. And I'm going to give you some things here that you can take and kind of utilize. So first and foremost, when you first start talking to a guy, I need you to get on a FaceTime with him. I need you to get on a video call with him because you need to see what his background is. You need to see who's around him. A 4-minute video call can really tell you a lot about a person. Like you can see if they're smoking a cigarette. You can see if they're in a noisy environment. You can see if they're actually taking you serious by answering that call and being polite and giving you their full attention. Because sometimes you might be on a call and they're on their phone and they're doing this, that, and third, and they got a girl in the background and they might be partying and there's bottles. You don't want that sometimes, right? Some of you do, but most of you probably don't. If you're watching this video and you stick around this far, you probably don't. So that 4 or 5 minute FaceTime will save you a lot of time in front of their face because you don't even have to go to the date. If you don't like the guy, just cut it right then and there. You need to get in the process of attracting men towards you, attract a lot of guys, and then get on quick calls with them and basically go through interviews, right? You got to see if this guy makes sense for you, if he's cool, if he's even able to answer the FaceTime. Many times guys won't answer this kind of stuff if they have a wife, if they have a girlfriend, and they might be answering in a weird room or at a specific time. You want to be able to call this guy at random times in the day as long as it's not conflicting with his work schedule and really jump on a call with him to see what kind of lifestyle he's living. And the same goes for you. Like I say this for guys as well. Like you want to be able to call her here and there through the day to make sure that she's not out with her boyfriend and she might be sleeping with him or whatever it might be. So the FaceTime is really good. That's the number one thing that's going to weed out a guy that's not serious about you and that wants you for the interaction. You want to make sure that you're seeing the guy and not wasting your time. But here's the thing. When you get on the first date with the guy, when you're sitting down and you're talking to him, you need to ask him the right questions. And the questions that you ask are not, I'm very serious and I'm very relationship intentional and I'm not going to waste my time. Like, don't say this. This is the worst thing that you can say. I see so many women say this stuff, and you know what happens? Men lie. The moment that you start saying, I don't want a guy that's going to waste my time, the guy's immediately going to go into, I'm not going to waste your time. Oh, you want a relationship? I want a relationship. Guys typically lie in the first initial interactions. There are typically 20 different types of guys. You like horses? I love horses. Your favorite color is red? Oh my God, me too. Oh my God, you love coffee? I like coffee too. They're agreeable with you a lot of times. And what happens is that causes you to create that emotional attraction with them. Some of you won't understand this, but many guys will actually side with you on the idea that you want a serious relationship because they first met you and the stimulation is very high, and they may genuinely say these things because they feel this way, but deep down in their heart, they haven't really thought about it. Look, When you start saying these things to a guy where you want this and you want that, you're asking him to basically agree with you, and that is not good, and you've given away the hand that you're playing. You don't want a guy to really know the direction that you're in. You want to kind of find out from him. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Men will tell you what you want to hear. You know, they always say that men fall in love with the eyes and women fall in love with the ears. That's why when you go and talk to a guy, like, you don't have to lie too much. You can just be who you are, because a guy knows what he's getting with you. 50 to 60% of the selection process for a man is in the sexuality of the woman in itself. So if a woman looks really good, there's only so much you can do to lie. I mean, you could lie about the photos and the filters and all that kind of stuff. Once he gets you on the FaceTime and once he sees you in person, he knows what he's dealing with, and he can decide from there. So as long as he likes you, it's all good. Then he knows what he's going to deal with the personality. But for you, you've really got to investigate and probe, because even though he might be an amazing, charming, attractive guy with a great job, he might be in a completely different mindset to not build in his life. And on the flip side, he might be a charming, amazing, attractive guy, and he might be really in a mindset to build with you. The big thing I'll say here for all of you ladies is that men have to be at the right space in their life in order to start to think about marriage and commitment. I remember being younger, and I met a lot of amazing, wonderful women that, could have been wives today, but I just wasn't in the right time of my life, and I did not pursue relationships with them because I just wasn't thinking about it. You could not tell me anything to get married at 20 years old or 22 years old. You couldn't tell me this stuff. Men typically start getting serious about marriage and relationships. It varies and depending on the culture, but I would say from 25 to 30, they start getting their financial stability together a little bit, and they start getting serious about the idea of marriage, especially after 30. Men start thinking about that and start thinking about serious partnerships. There's definitely that 1% of guys out there that never want to get married, that never want to have kids, and that's fine. You don't have to be with them. And, if you want to hook up with these guys, that's fine as well. But if you're watching this video and you're here this far, look, you want to avoid these kinds of men because they just don't make sense to you. They're not bad people. They just have a different type of lifestyle that they want to kind of live in. And there's women out there for them. So you got to find the guy that's in a mindset to kind of settle down. Don't try to convince a guy by your value to change and settle down and be with you. You have to find a guy that's ready to start a family, okay? Now, here's how you find that stuff out. In the first date, in the first initial interactions, ask him what he wants his legacy to be and start asking him questions about his future and his family. How many kids do you want? How do you want your kids to treat you? Do you want to homeschool your kids, or do you want to kind of take them to public school or private school? Do you want a big family? Do you want a small family? How important are family events to you, like, eating dinner at Thanksgiving? How important is Christmas to you? How important are these things? Talk about legacy. Talk about his purpose. Ask him, if you had a purpose in life, what do you think that would be? What would you say your goal in life is as a man? Say these things to him and see his answers. If a woman asks me, what do I want my legacy to be? I want to be able to help people. I want to be able to impact people. I want my children to be able to pick up on my brand and be able to impact people. I want happy, healthy children that are involved in a lot of different things. Like, this is the answer I'm going to say. But if you asked me this 6 years ago, it might have been very, very, very different. Okay, I promise you. Things change. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing for a woman that wants to kind of get locked down and be a wife. That's a very good thing. But you need to be asking these guys from day one, and you need to see what they're answering with. You want a guy to talk about family and kids. And then another thing you want to start asking is, if you were to marry somebody and you were to settle down with somebody, what would you want that person to be like? What kind of lifestyle would you want with this person? Would you want to be monogamous with? Would you want her to be kind of letting you hook up with other women? Say this in a positive way. Don't try to guide him to the answer of what you want. Say, hey, look, would you think it'd be cool if your wife was married to you and then you were sleeping with other women? Would you think that would be a good thing? Would that be something that you'd be interested in? Is that like a lifestyle that you've ever dreamed of? And say these things kind of like baiting him in a way to give in, like, yeah, I would love to hook up with multiple women. It may not make sense to you, right? If a guy is displaying this kind of stuff, it may not make sense to you. Sometimes a guy can see the trap from a mile away and say, no, obviously not. And you've just got to roll with it. It takes time to identify what he really wants, but you want to say these things but you want to ask these questions that kind of get him thinking into settling down. Ask him questions like, hey, like, if you met the most amazing, beautiful woman tomorrow, let's say it's not me, let's say it's not even me, and she wanted to settle down, is that something that you'd want to do? And let's say on the flip side, she wants to wait 5 years to settle down. Would you be with her? Ask him this. If you met the most amazing, beautiful girl tomorrow, amazing, perfect, she has all the characteristics of a wife, and it's not me. It's not me. Let's say it's not me. And she says, I want to settle down, but not until 8, 9, 10 years. Would you be okay with that? Ask him this question, because a lot of women will say, oh, if you met the perfect woman tomorrow, would you settle down with her? Would you marry her? Like, that's not the question you want to ask, because the guy's going to go for that answer. Tell him if she wants to wait 8, 9, 10 years or 5 years, what would you say? Because now you can gauge in a reverse psychology type metric how quickly this guy wants to settle down and marry. Some guys will be like, 5 years, it's not bad. Yeah, I could wait 5 years. But for some guys, like myself, if she wants to wait 5, 10 years to even start talking about that, I would probably say no, because I'm in a stage in my life where I'm like, look, I'm looking for a wife soon. Now, effective immediately, right? Different guys have different metrics and different timelines. And a man's timeline is really financial. The one thing I'm going to tell you is that if you want a guy that's really serious about getting married and starting a relationship, you have to make sure that he's financially stable. And you can tell this by his lifestyle, by the way that he interacts, by him being able to take care of certain things. A man that's financially stable is a man that's ready to kind of get married and settle down. And these men are far and few. There's not many men out there that are 100% secure in their finances. The second thing you have to understand is he is not engaging in negative habits where he's, engaging in temptation, vices, drinking excessively, gambling excessively, doing a lot of drugs. He's typically staying away from that, because that is not conducive to a family's lifestyle. That is not good. So when you guys are talking to guys and they're doing cocaine every single weekend, so when you girls are talking to guys and they're doing cocaine every single weekend and they're out smoking weed in the middle of the day, that's not conducive to a family lifestyle. I'm just telling you that. I have nothing against certain drugs and certain lifestyles, but at the end of the day, that's not conducive to raising a family. Now, next thing that you have to understand is that a man has to have a purpose if he wants to settle down. When a man wants to settle down, he wants to create a legacy. He wants to create children. That's the reason that men settle down. So you have to make sure that this man is in the mindset of it, and you need to be asking these questions on the first date, classify them and gear them and really evaluate his answers, and then from there you'll have a better understanding of if this man wants to be with you or not. So I hope this video was helpful for you. This is a very superficial explanation of everything, but if you want to connect with me in any way, my links are all down in the description below. Big shout out to K&D Group for allowing us to use this beautiful penthouse to film this video in. If it wasn't for them, I would not be able to bring this content. And if you're ever in the Cleveland area, definitely hit them up. They will find you the apartment of your dreams. And guys, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching our content, for supporting us, for subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you haven't done so already, definitely hit that. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Spotify, iTunes. It means the world when I have your support. And honestly, I do this for you guys. I try to bring you as much free content as possible, because I really want people to leave this channel and leave these videos with positivity. So you could have been anywhere else in the world. I appreciate you for spending time with me. And if this video helped you even just a little bit, share it with somebody. Let them know that, you listen to our stuff. It would mean the world to me. Until next time, guys, Sumi out.